Hello and welcome to USA Weekly News Plus, the only news program brave enough to tell you what news will be happening next week. Every Thursday, we bring you the top news predictions for the upcoming week, because knowing is half the battle. The other half? Well, it's usually disappointment, but at least with us, you'll be a well-informed, disappointed citizen. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and most importantly, comment. We thrive on your engagement. It probably is, but we're using a royalty-free site, so what are you going to do? Sue us? Please don't.
Well, folks, it's that time of year again when we look to the skies with a mixture of awe and terror, wondering if Mother Nature has decided to turn our coastlines into a giant slip and slide. That's right, it's hurricane season and we're staring down the barrel of some potentially significant weather events. Experts are predicting a high likelihood of hurricane activity in the coming week, particularly in the southeastern states. We're talking potential flooding, power outages, the whole shebang, so what can you do to prepare? Well, the usual: stock up on supplies like water, batteries, and canned goods. Secure any loose objects in your yard that might turn into airborne missiles of destruction. And most importantly, make sure you have a plan in place for your pets. But in all seriousness, folks, it's important to stay informed and be prepared. Check your local weather reports, follow the guidance of emergency officials, and if you're in an evacuation zone, please, for the love of all that is holy, get out of there. There's no shame in running away from a giant swirling vortex of doom. In fact, I highly recommend it.
Well, folks, it seems like the only thing rising faster than the sea levels these days is the cost of living. Inflation is still the word on everyone's lips, and those lips are starting to resemble a sad trombone, slowly sliding down the scale of economic despair. The Federal Reserve, those brave souls who control the flow of money like some sort of economic avengers, are meeting again this week. And let me tell you, the tension is palpable. Will they raise interest rates? Will they lower them? Will they just throw their hands up in the air and declare that the economy is now being run by a sentient Roomba named Jerome, who only accepts payment in Bitcoin? Honestly, at this point, anything's possible. But what we do know is that their decision will have a ripple effect on all of us, from the price of our morning coffee to the interest rates on our mortgages. It's enough to make you want to bury your savings in the backyard and start bartering for goods like it's 1623. Experts are divided on what the Fed will do. Some say they'll raise rates to combat inflation, even if it means slowing down the economy. Others say they'll hold steady, hoping to avoid a recession. And then there are those who say they'll just start printing money with Oprah's face on it and airdrop it from helicopters. So buckle up, buttercups, because the economic roller coaster is showing no signs of slowing down.
Well, folks, it seems like the campaign signs never really came down, did they? That's right, the 2024 election is already upon us, like a particularly persistent house guest who keeps forgetting their toothbrush. This week, expect the political theater to ramp up, with candidates crisscrossing the country, kissing babies, shaking hands, and desperately trying to convince us they're not all just power-hungry robots hell-bent on world domination. Spoiler alert, some of them might be. We've got all the usual suspects vying for your vote, seasoned politicians with more baggage than a Samsonite factory, political newcomers with suspiciously well-coiffed hair, and at least one person who seems to think they can win by promising free ice cream for everyone. So far, the campaign has been a delightful mix of the predictable and the utterly bizarre. This week, keep an eye on the polls because they're about as reliable as a weather forecast in a hurricane. And most importantly, remember to register to vote, because the only thing worse than listening to these politicians talk is knowing you didn't even get a say in who gets to make the rules.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because the tech world is moving faster than a self-driving car on a sugar rush. This week, expect a flurry of announcements, product launches, and pronouncements from Silicon Valley that will leave you both amazed and slightly terrified for the future of humanity. First up, we've got the ever-evolving world of artificial intelligence. Remember when AI was just a way to lose to a computer at chess? Well, those days are long gone. Now we're talking about AI that can write poetry, compose music, and even diagnose diseases with startling accuracy. On the one hand, it's incredible. On the other hand, it's only a matter of time before the robots rise up and enslave us all. Speaking of things that are both amazing and terrifying, let's talk about the metaverse. It's the future of the internet, they say. A fully immersive digital world where you can work, play, and even fall in love, all without ever leaving your couch. And let's not forget about the ever-growing world of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin. It's enough to make your head spin faster than a hard drive on overdrive. So there you have it, folks. The tech world in a nutshell. Exciting, innovative, and potentially leading to our inevitable downfall.
Well, folks, the leaves are starting to turn, the air is getting crisp, and parents everywhere are rejoicing at the thought of their children finally going back to school. But before you break out the champagne and confetti cannons, let's not forget that the back-to-school season also means it's time for everyone's favorite pastime, arguing about education policy. That's right, folks. Across the country, school boards are once again becoming battlegrounds for heated debates about everything from mask mandates to book bans to the very curriculum being taught in our classrooms. On one side, we have those who believe that schools should be bastions of free speech and open inquiry, where students are encouraged to think critically and challenge the status quo. On the other side, we have those who seem to think that schools are nothing more than indoctrination centers, where children should be shielded from any ideas that might make them uncomfortable or challenge their pre-existing beliefs. And caught in the middle of this ideological tug-of-war are the teachers, those brave souls who are just trying to educate the next generation while navigating a minefield of political agendas and parental expectations. This week, expect to see these debates play out in school board meetings, town halls, and even on the steps of the Supreme Court. But hey, at least the kids are back in school, right? Now if we could just get them to stop asking for the Wi-Fi password.
Chapter 6, Sports News, NFL Season Kickoff, because nothing says fall like concussions and fantasy football. Well, folks, it's that time of year again, when the leaves start to turn, the air gets crisp, and we collectively forget about the horrors of the previous NFL season and gear up for a whole new season of bone-crunching hits, miraculous catches, and enough drama to make a soap opera blush. That's right, the NFL is back, baby, and this year, it's bigger, badder, and more likely to give you a heart attack than ever before. We've got new teams to root for, new players to obsess over, and new scandals that will undoubtedly rock the league to its core. This week, all eyes will be on the opening games, as teams shake off the offseason rust and try to prove they've got what it takes to make it to the Super Bowl. And let's not forget about the real reason for the NFL season fantasy football. It's time to dust off your spreadsheets, consult your lucky rabbit's foot, and draft a team of virtual players who will inevitably let you down in the most heartbreaking way possible. So grab your jerseys, stock up on snacks, and get ready for another season of America's favorite pastime. Chapter 7, Healthcare Policy Changes Your Health, Their Hands. Well, folks, it's time to talk about healthcare. And I know what you're thinking. Can't we just go back to discussing the potential robot uprising? At least that was entertainingly terrifying. But alas, healthcare is a bit like that persistent rash you get in the summer. We might want to ignore it, but it's not going away on its own. This week, expect more news on the ever-evolving landscape of healthcare policy. Will we finally crack the code on lowering drug prices? Or will pharmaceutical companies continue to charge exorbitant amounts for life-saving medication, while simultaneously running commercials featuring adorable puppies and children with heartwarming stories? This week, pay attention to the news, because these policy changes have the potential to affect us all. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, we'll finally figure out a way to make healthcare work for everyone. Chapter 8, Wildfires in the West. When Smokey the Bear needs a fire extinguisher the size of Texas. Well, folks, it's that time of year again, when the air quality in California resembles a scene out of Mad Max Fury Road, and the only thing hotter than the weather is the debate about climate change. That's right, it's wildfire season in the American West, and this year it's shaping up to be a real scorcher. From the tinder-dry forests of California to the sagebrush-covered hills of Oregon, wildfires are raging across the region, fueled by a combination of drought, high temperatures, and the occasional carelessly tossed cigarette butt. The images coming out of these fires are nothing short of apocalyptic, towering infernos consuming entire hillsides, communities reduced to smoldering rubble, and skies choked with smoke so thick you could cut it with a knife. This week, keep the people affected by these fires in your thoughts. And if you're looking for a way to help, consider donating to organizations providing relief efforts. Because in the face of such widespread destruction, even the smallest act of kindness can make a world of difference. Outro. That's all for this week's news predictions, and that's it for this week's edition of USA Weekly News Plus. We've laughed, we've cried, we've questioned the very fabric of reality. Join us again next week, when we'll delve into the murky depths of the future and try to make sense of it all, one absurd news story at a time. Make sure to subscribe, share, and comment to stay updated with the latest news predictions. See you next Sunday.